In this segment, we're going to talk about European motivation for exploration in the late 15th and in the 16th centuries. Now, a good question to start is why Europeans wanted to explore new lands and establish colonies in the first place. There were many reasons, but one of the most important ones was perhaps economics. Europeans were basically looking for a shorter trade route to the east. European elite, nobility, royal court, and so on had developed a taste for Asian goods, particularly spices from the so-called Spice Islands in present-day Indonesia were in high demand in the European royal courts and noble houses. European diet was very bland, and so they needed pepper, cinnamon, and others to spice it up. Also, there was a high demand for precious commodities. Silk, porcelain, all of these came from China. And the trade route that goes overland was in the hands of the Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans had conquered the last Byzantine powerful city, Constantinople, in 1453. The Ottoman Empire was Muslim, so Muslim merchants had controlled a lot of the trade, but also the Ottoman Empire imposed very heavy taxes on goods that traveled through its lands. So Europeans basically wanted to cut the middleman. They were looking for an alternative route to Asia. So the first explorers were, were the Portuguese. They were really well situated, furthest south in Europe. They have basically the Atlantic Ocean. There they are very close to North Africa. So they're the first to explore the coast of West Africa and further and gradually move down the coast. They eventually will be looking for a way to circumnavigate the southern tip of Africa. They will cross the Indian Ocean and reach the Spice Islands in modern-day Indonesia. So, desire for spices and precious commodities. There was also a desire for gold and other precious metals. And while the Portuguese weren't quite interested in conquering land, other empires, European empires, the Spanish, the French, and related the British, they would want to begin building land empires. So economic reasons. There were also religious reasons for explorations or motives for exploration. The struggle between Christianity and Islam had been waged for centuries. The Middle Ages, the Christian Crusaders basically invaded the Holy Land, which was then in Muslim hands. They conquered it, the first crusade, conquered Jerusalem, but then it lost it back to Muslim hands. And then, as I already stated, this region would be in the hands of the Ottoman Empire, will be conquered by the Ottomans. So the Holy Land was in Muslim hands. Also, parts of southern Europe, of present-day Spain and southern Italy, they were conquered by Islamic empires in the 7th, 8th, 9th century, as Islam was expanding from its stronghold in the Arabian Peninsula. So Spain was in a very long process of trying to reconquer the land that was in the hands of Muslim rulers, the Moors. This is known as the Reconquista or Reconquest. So the Spaniards are basically trying to retake this land back from the Moors. And a lot of this desire was driven sort of by religious fervor. They sort of demonized Islam and Muslims. They were fighting in the name of Catholicism. And so by the end of the 15th century, 1492, this reconquest will be completed, but this religious fervor will be there, and it will be directed at any people that weren't Catholics, and so let's say the Jews of Spain will become a target. That would be considered heretics, that would be persecuted, expelled from Spain. Spain, the Spanish conquerors or conquistadors, will bring this religious fervor to the New World. After Columbus discovered America, they will come to the New World. They will bring this crusading fervor and military tactics that they used in the Old World against Muslims. The Spanish conquerors would use requerimiento against the Native Americans of the New World. Basically, that was an ultimatum. They would read this ultimatum in Spanish to the Native Americans, which basically asked them convert to Christianity or die. Obviously, that would be a challenge for the Native Americans who didn't understand the word from this ultimatum, but since they failed to convert right on the spot, that was used by the Spanish as an excuse, to conquer them or even kill them if needed. And so they will use these ultimatums in their struggle against Native Americans, but this was something that they already have done against the Muslims in the Old World. So these are some of the motives: religious motives, economic motives. There was also a desire to convert people to Christianity, new people to Christianity. There was a belief that there was a mythical king, Prester John, somewhere in the Indies, that perhaps, the Portuguese, for example, be able to establish contact with and create an alliance, and together they will fight the Muslims. There was also a sort of a new period of curiosity that was spurred by the cultural renaissance in Europe. Renaissance is this period of a sort of artistic period of focus on humanism and individuality, rather than sort of a medieval Christian world and the afterlife, if you will. So there is this new Renaissance, and all of the explorers that were a product of this Renaissance. Columbus, for example, he was a typical Renaissance man, full of curiosity, desire to explore new worlds, sort of almost like an outward view, having an outward view. So the next segment will analyze or discuss some of the technological innovations, particularly in shipbuilding, that enabled Europeans to sort of venture on a long distance travel and cross oceans.